The one question that they really want to know is the answer to which we do not have, which is where are their loved ones and where is the aeroplane?
For the families whose loved ones are lost, where is the plane is the only question that matters. But how much time needs to go by until they can be compensated and helped here? Let me bring in my dream team. Judge Glenda Hatchett is joining us, as well as Tanya Miller here in studio. Darren Kavinoky, you know him as well. And also, do we have Brian with us as well by phone? And Brian Claypool, great defense attorney, civil rights litigator, joining us by phone as well. Great to have everyone here. Let's start with the family. Finally, it seems like the Malaysian folks got to Beijing to meet with some of the families over there. Right. But what can it seems to me that this shouldn't be about having to file a lawsuit or anything else. There needs to be help right here, right now, whether it's economic help or emotional help. Tanya?
Right. And I think that there might be some coming soon. Look, we don't know what happened to the plane yet. It's still being investigated. So it's difficult to say who's at fault and exactly how they could have prevented it. But it's clear that these passengers should have made it where they were destined to go. So the airlines is going to recognize that, and they're going to provide some kind of financial support to these families quickly. Yeah,
because part of this is, the family waits, and I don't know where they're going to wait. Do they go to Malaysia? Do they go wherever they go? They're going to need support, and I don't know if they know the type of support that they need, whether it's financial, but the emotional part of it, Judge, is huge too. And it seems huge to me that the airlines should help and provide that without having to file a lawsuit.
Right, and actually a lot of this will happen without it being necessary to file a lawsuit. A lot of this will get settled out of court. Even if there's an initial filing of the lawsuit, rarely will we see this kind of case tried in a courtroom. But what will happen is that it's so complicated because you have passengers on this plane from 14 different countries. Yeah. And so, but the good news is that there is a Montreal treaty that governs international pieces. Otherwise, it would just be crazy and chaotic. There will be, in fact, the Malaysian airline already has a bucket of money from a part of the insurance that is already there, and they could begin to start doing it. The real question is what happened to the plane? Will there be other defendants besides Malaysian Airline? Will there be Boeing involved if there was some malfunction? So it gets a little bit more complicated down the way, but I agree with you. They should get some help now.
Yeah, and I want to go to Brian Claypool. I see you, Darren. You're next in line, pal. Brian Claypool, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, hey, Vinny. Yeah, this is much more complicated than I think people can imagine. Just as the families need to get closure and understand what happened, we also need to know what happened, because that provides a blueprint or a framework for how these lawsuits are going to go forward. And I think you're going to see lawsuits. For example, there are several ways in which this plane, if it did go down, how it happened. The first would be the pilot diverted the plane and it was a suicide mission, or a pilot error, or a terroristic act, or a mechanical failure. Now, each one of those scenarios, Vinny, would evoke a different manner in which you would have to prove up your case. And trust me, if it's mechanical failure, for example, there are a lot of parts to that plane, and there are manufacturers of each separate component part. So each of those parties would have to be in the case as well. Right. So it can get very, very complicated.
Darren Kavinoky, I saw you chomping at the bit there. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's not to amplify Brian's point, and I agree wholeheartedly that litigation is going to be incredibly complex because everybody in the entire chain of production, if it does prove to be a mechanical issue, does get sued. So those are the main contractors, the subcontractors, all the manufacturers of the parts, etc. And then you add another wrinkle, which is the locale, the venue in which these lawsuits can go forward. Obviously, anybody that sues in the United States is going to have a better time collecting a large amount of damages than somebody that's suing in some foreign jurisdiction, because historically, juries in the United States award far more dollars in monetary damages than we ever see in other countries. So there's going to be a lot of jockeying to see where these lawsuits can go forward if they ultimately need to.
And the other wrinkle is the insurance company as well. They'll have a lot to say with all this. And really, at this point, though, just want the families to get the emotional help. And they may need some financial help, too, if they have to stay in Malaysia or stay somewhere away from home and away from work. All right, coming up.